If you are at all looking in the direction of your screen right now, you can clearly see another breakdown. UFC Fight Night, Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira took place today. And for the most part, the card was so-so. There's some good finishes here and there. But you knew in the back of your head, the fighters on the card, they're not going anywhere. They're going to stay in the pretty much the same position they're already at. They'll give you fun fights here and there, but in terms of the grand scheme, like the bigger universe of the UFC, that's probably where they're staying, and that's like the UFC Apex Fight Nights, or at best, like pay-per-view prelims. Let's be honest here. All except the main event, which had some high repercussions. It was a title eliminator for Tatsuro Taira if he won. Brandon Royval, I'm not so sure. If Kai Asakura beats Pantoja, I think Brandon Royval will get the next title shot. And for the most part, yeah, it might be the fight of the year. I'm not going to say confirmed that it is, but it's one of the two best fights this year in terms of drama, in terms of excitement, in terms of everything, really. The only other fight that was on this level was Islam versus Dustin Poirier, just because of the drama and like the back and forth and the story going in. But this fight, okay, let's go from the beginning. In round one, it's a close round. I agree it's a close round. When the round ends, I say one judge will give it to Taira and two will give it to Royval. The two sensible judges did end up giving it to Royval, and the fight ended up going to a split decision. I thought Royval was the more cleaner striker on the feet. I think he landed more significant strikes. Tatsuro Taira controlled Royval against the cage for a little bit, but that was it. And there was at one point towards the end of the round where Brandon Royval slipped up and fell on the floor, and that's when I thought the judges would go either way. The second round comes along. Tatsuro Taira takes down Brandon Royval almost immediately at the start of the round. Takes him down, controls him there, holds him down, and he doesn't do enough damage, in my opinion, to get a 10-8 round, and I'm so glad that none of the judges thought so either. I'm really glad the judges didn't just throw out a 10-8 round just because it was a dominant round from Tatsuro Taira, but it was majority control time, you know what I mean? He was controlling him, holding him down, taking his back. And speaking of taking his back, Tatsuro Taira has some of the cleanest back takes I have ever seen. I mean, later on in the fight, Royval was literally back first against the cage. Him and the cage were like this. Tatsuro Taira was finding openings on like getting in between Royval and the cage and getting into the back of Brandon Royval, which was absolutely crazy. The kind of fun grappling that you like to see, like the kind of drama that you like to see. In the second round, Tatsuro Taira takes Brandon Royval's back, gets a full body triangle in. A full body lock in, sorry. Gets a full body lock in. Brandon Royval does everything in his power, and I like that. I like that he didn't just stay there. Like, you see fighters get taken, like their backs get taken. They see that there's a body triangle around them, and they do nothing about it. They do absolutely nothing. You just stay there, grab the hands, fight the hands, make sure they don't get tapped out. Royval, on the other hand, was trying to get up, slowly making his way up, fighting the body triangle. At some point, Tatsuro Taira was trying to transition a body triangle into a full mount, and Brandon Royval was just fighting out of it. Just fighting him, trying to get up, trying to Granby roll while being in a full body triangle, if you can imagine that, and he just couldn't do it. It was crazy. Like, it was really fun grappling. Multiple times Tatsuro Taira looked like he could have got the neck of Brandon Royval, but Brandon Royval just dogged it out, I suppose, fought the hands, tucked his chin in, just didn't let him, kept moving, so Tatsuro Taira never had the balance to just be in one position and just really work on that rear naked choke. Amazing stuff. Tatsuro Taira won the round. I don't think it was a 10-8. I think Royval got up towards the end of that round, but even if he didn't, there was not enough damage done. Round 3 comes around, and round 3 is probably the craziest round of the fight. Tatsuro Taira is striking with Brandon Royval. Brandon Royval is out voluming Tatsuro Taira, hurts him badly, pushes him back, gets him down on the ground, is like ground and pounding him. Immediately when I think, okay, the ref's about to stop the fight, Tatsuro Taira, like a zombie, like you know when you see one of those light bulbs that like flicker on and off? Like something just flickers back on inside Tatsuro Taira, like the lights just come back on. He gets up, he's up on his feet, it continues on, goes back down to the ground. Keep in mind, he wasn't dropped or anything, he just like, the fatigue, the damage, the constant pressure from Brandon Royval made Tatsuro Taira get to the ground, head down, hands on his head, looking like he's quitting. I'm thinking, okay, now the referee's gonna jump in. Like the zombie that he is, the spirit of the Korean zombie lives on inside Tatsuro Taira, because he just got right back up again, fought for some more, and then he ended the round by taking Brandon Royval's back, had him in a rear naked submission hold, and that's how the round ended. And I thought, holy shit, could one of the judges rob this round for Tatsuro Taira? Because Tatsuro Taira took Brandon Royval's back like with 1 minute left on the clock, and then he got the submission attempt in with like 20 or so seconds left. It wasn't in, it was over the chin, but I thought one of the judges might give it to him. Round 4 comes around. Right now I have a 2-1. Round 4, Tatsuro Taira, Brandon Royval, same as round 2. Taira takes down Royval, controls him for the entire round. There was less damage and less submission attempts this time around. This time around, Royval was really fighting the legs, the body lock. He knew what to fight. He stops the takedown attempts. And this is an entire round of grappling, and it was just so exciting to watch because the threat of the submissions was just so high. When there's like an urgency of a submission being landed at any given moment, there's all immediate excitement. Excitement doesn't just come from beating senseless like knowledge out of each other. You know what I mean? Like like just beating each other up senselessly. That's not what a great fight is, because we do that all the time on the prelims. But no one is saying that every single prelim fight is a fight of the year candidate, because no one cares. This, on the other hand, amazing. Like, the threat was so high that we thought Brandon Royval could lose, and I had money on Brandon Royval, so I obviously wanted him to win. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Entire fourth round, I didn't think it was a 10-8, 10-9. I gave it to Tatsuro Taira, 2-2 into the fifth round. Fifth round starts, Royval immediately puts it on Taira, striking him, beating him up, doing everything basically. Tatsuro Taira at one point goes for a submission attempt. No, not a submission attempt, he goes for a takedown. And it looks like he's got him, like he's almost got him. Royval's like buddies against the cage, and he's on the floor basically, but he's like kind of leaning forward. You know what I mean? Like almost off the ground. Taira's trying to take his back, get between him and the cage one more time. Instead of being able to do that, Brandon Royval somehow flips out of it, takes Tatsuro Taira down, huge feet of strength, takes him down, controls him there, does some damage to him, goes for a submission attempt of his own, tries to take Tatsuro Taira's back as he's getting back up to his feet. Insane. And at this point, I was just losing my mind. I thought Brandon Royval was the biggest dog of any dog that's ever fought in the UFC. You know what I mean? Like, he just had such a... he has gotten so much better from the days of losing to Morono and Pantoja. Like, he's such a scrapper. Like, every time he's going to fight, you know it's going to be a good scrap. And I think the flyweights deserve more main event slots. Anyway, the round ends with Royval pulling a guillotine choke on Tatsuro Taira after hurting him a bit. Tatsuro Taira shot in multiple takedowns in the fifth round. Couldn't get any of them. Finally, goes for one more. Royval pulls guard, guillotine choke in. But all of a sudden it's not in. But it doesn't matter because Brandon Royval as he's the guillotine choke in, he flips his body to be on top of Taira. And the round ends with Brandon Royval on top of Tatsuro Taira. Amazing stuff. Give us more flyweight main events. I'll take top 10 ranked flyweight contenders fighting each other over women's main events. And I will take him a step further and say I'll take that over Neil Magny versus Paredes. That's the main event, I think, in a few weeks. Like a month's time. Garbage. I don't want to see that shit. Give us this. Don't give us Joe Pyfer versus Jack Hermanson. No, nobody wants to see a boring Joe Pyfer Jack Hermanson fight that no one's hyped up for. There were stakes in this fight. The fight delivered. The flyweights always deliver, it feels like. Always, including the prelims of this show, which I'll come back to in a second. Amazing fight. Top 2 fights of the year. The drama was insane. Only Islam Makhachev is on this fight's level, in my opinion. Incredible. As you can see, $125 on Brandon Royval. Boom. A massive underdog. I should have waited a bit longer. The odds even widened afterwards. Amazing underdog. $125. $356 payout. Incredible. Oh, and by the way, the event profit for this was $266.49. My total profits for the year are $832.99. And keep in mind, I only started keeping track of these since UFC Paris. So this is my third event. We're already at $832 after 3 events. Huge. Brad Tavares versus Yong Park. It was a good fight. I was distracted for the first half of the fight. Not the first half, the first round of the fight. I thought the striking was pretty even. I didn't know which way they were going to go. I thought maybe Brad Tavares won. I actually thought Yong Park might have won. I'm not sure. I wasn't paying attention. I missed like half the round, okay? Brad Tavares won the first round. I have no problem with that. The second and third round were clearly Yong Park. He outstruck Brad Tavares in the second round. Beat him up pretty badly. Third round came around. Did the same thing again, basically. Brad Tavares was like on the back foot for a lot of the fight. Going backwards a lot. Yong Park grappled with him in the third. Held Brad Tavares against the cage. Did his thing. Got him down a couple of times actually during the fight. Brad Tavares had shot no takedowns. I'm surprised by that. I thought Brad Tavares was like a decent grappler. I thought he would use his takedown like wrestling. I thought Yong Park would stuff them all, but didn't even attempt many. Well, that's Brad Tavares for you though. Like, this was the co-main event, but it's not really a co-main event level fight now, is it? Like, my friend who I was watching it with started playing his little game, and I was watching him play his game for like the first half of the first round. That just, yeah, wasn't looking forward to this one. Yong Park, I'm glad he won because he's He could have some fun fights in the future, could go somewhere in the division, maybe have a fight with Gregory Rodriguez, I don't know. Someone on the up. Brad Tavares is damaged goods. He had one win over Chris Weidman. Lost to Brute. Like, he's lost 4 of his last 5. Don't cut him, but don't put him in the co-main event of UFC Apex paper. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's the Apex and it's shit and no one cares. And the name Brad Tavares, people actually know. But when you see him walking out, you see the fight, it's just not there. The hype for a Brad Tavares fight just doesn't exist, in my opinion. Simple. I picked Jun Yong Park to win, and he did. I'm happy for him. Brad Tavares, though, isn't it? Just boring whenever he's on now. Shame, because he was top 10 back in the day, but boring now. Njokuani versus Jared Gooden. A decent fight, a decent scrap. Njokuani grappled with Jared Gooden a lot, put him against the cage, kneed him a lot. Threw some elbows on the brakes. Good fight for the most part. Njokuani dominated Jared Gooden, though, I thought. Jared Gooden shot some takedowns against Chidi Njokuani. Njokuani stuffed a lot of the takedowns, got back up from a lot of takedowns. Another one of those fights where you're like, it's the feature fight of a UFC fight night. I know no one cares about a UFC fight night, but all these fight nights should be like trying to crescendo to like the big finish, right? Like the second best fight is the co-main event. Another high fight in the feature fight. Maybe not the most hype fight, but like a better fight than this one. I don't know. I know this fight was meant to be in the prelims, and maybe they got shuffled around for whatever reason, but didn't really hit it for me. Njokuani hits hard, but I've seen him lose a lot. I think his chin is there to be hit. Like, I think he will get knocked out by any other good strikers. Jared Gooden had some wrestling, was the less technical striker, like I said in my breakdown, and he ended up losing because of it. And it's really hard to get excited for some of these UFC Apexes. It's really hard to be there from the early prelims to the main card and be like, yep, this fight's next, let's keep going. Let's get the momentum rolling. My energy was actually quite high for the early prelims, but by the main card, I was like, they're all the same quality, really, aren't they? All these fights. Like, you can say, oh, Chidi Njokuani, people know who he is. Do they? They know who he is, but I just rather see a fun flyweight or bantamweight, a skillful fight than two steroid guys fighting. Anyway, the prediction ended up being right. It was Chidi Njokuani. Next up, Grant Dawson versus Rafa Garcia. Alright, so Grant Dawson, a very boring fighter, a very boring personality. But of everyone so far, other than the main event that we've discussed, I thought he was the biggest name. I was more hyped to see him fight than the next 2 fights combined. Honestly, Brad Tavares and Chidi weren't doing it for me. I like Grant Dawson. I thought he was going to make it a boring decision win. He didn't. He threw some good strikes on the feet. Rafa Garcia threw some strikes of his own. But then Grant Dawson mixed in the takedowns, and by the second round, Rafa Garcia was broken on the ground. He was pummeling the shit out of Rafa Garcia, and Rafa Garcia was busted open, bleeding out, hurt, basically. And yeah, after a while, he just didn't give up. I mean, I suppose the referee stopped the fight, but yeah, good dominant performance from Grant Dawson. And honestly, Grant Dawson got done dirty before. He was on like an 8-fight not losing streak, like he didn't lose in 8 fights. Fights Bobby Green, gets a 1 in 10 chance caught with a right hook from Bobby Green. If that fight happens again, I'm picking Grant Dawson again. I don't care what happened in the first fight. And just loses everything. He had no hype anyway. So any chance the UFC has of not giving Grant Dawson a chance, they're on board with it. They're ready to throw Grant Dawson to the scrap heap. Get him out of the not get him out of the UFC. They probably want to. Do they want to keep him around? He loses 2-3 fights in a row. They're kicking him out. You know what I mean? I hope Grant Dawson gets a step up. He beat Joe Selecki in his last fight. Now he just beat Rafa Garcia. I want to see him get a step up. I want to see him fight someone higher ranked, higher placed. Give him Matt Frevola. If not Matt Frevola, let's say Matt Frevola. And if it's not Matt Frevola, why not give him Benoit Saint-Denis? Give him another chance in the top 15. You know what I mean? I know UFC doesn't care about fairness and all that, and I'm not dying to see Grant Dawson, but I do think there's something there, even if he is boring. Today he was good. He was good today. Good finish. Busted up Rafa Garcia. It was kind of exciting. But yeah, just usually quite a boring fighter. But I think he deserves another chance in the top 15. He slipped on the banana peel once. Like, he was fighting back in the rankings, I think. Give him Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis coming off 2 losses. Grant Dawson coming off 2 wins. Match him up. See how it goes. I had Grant Dawson winning. He's part of my 2-leg multi. $50. I had Grant Dawson and Ramazan Temirov. we move on to Daniel Rodriguez versus Alex Morono. A split decision, which really quite tells you, like, you know what, I was thinking coming into this fight. Okay, so Daniel Rodriguez is obviously clearly better. Like, obviously the two of them, Daniel Rodriguez is the better fighter. After watching that fight, I'm not sure if Daniel Rodriguez won that fight. Honestly, I thought it might have been a slight robbery. I don't know. It was close. Could have gone either way. Good strikings for both guys. It was just a striking match for the most part on the feet. Alex Morono threw a few spinning back fists, which I think might have lost him the round, honestly, because they were kind of sloppy. And then Rodriguez caught him coming into it, and the announcers just went, "Whoa!" You know? The commentators, sorry, not the announcers. The commentator just went, "Whoa!" I mean, but like, you can't let him get caught like that. You know what I mean? The way they do. Yeah, it's quite telling that the level Daniel Rodriguez is at right now. Like, we know what level he is at now. It's the Alex Morono level. It's the Niko Price level. It's one of those guys level, which is kind of upsetting. Because I remember when he beat Kevin Lee. I know Kevin Lee isn't the most amazing welterweight on the planet. But I thought there was something there. He beat him 29-28. Kevin Lee gassed. And Daniel Rodriguez was getting up from takedowns. Like, it took a lot of energy out of Kevin Lee to hold down Daniel Rodriguez. And he just didn't. He's 37, I get it. He's not a big guy. I mean, a big name-wise guy. He's a name. Like, I knew who Daniel Rodriguez... I mean, I know all these people. Other than, like, the first 2 or 3 fights. Wasn't too sure of them. But yeah, I mean, Daniel Rodriguez, good guy. Good fighter. Alex Morono, good fighter. Daniel Rodriguez will probably be used as a stepping stone in the division. Like, he's enough of a name that if there's someone you want to push from, like, different ethnicity... Maybe France, maybe Japan, maybe China, maybe Australia, maybe Brazil. You give him to Daniel Rodriguez and they'll whoop him up. If they have any potential, they'll whoop him up. And the same thing with Alex Morono. I think Alex Morono said he wants to be in 30 UFC fights. I don't think he should get cut after this fight. Alex Morono is another one of those dudes. Like, he's enough of a... he's not a name, but he's like a dude that people know. You know what I mean? Like, give him around. You gotta fill these cards up somehow. May as well give us default character and tattoo default character. You know what I mean? I thought Morono had a good chance of winning this fight, though. I couldn't judge it fairly. Like, I thought it could have gone either way. I have no problem with the fight going towards Alex Morono. I think I had Alex Morono winning, maybe 1 and 2, I think. Yeah. It was close, though. I had no horse in the race. Rodriguez won. Temirov versus CJ Vergara. Amazing stuff. The flyweights come up to deliver again. The main event of the prelims got me hyped up for the main card, and I was like, let's go, I'm ready. Let's do this. And then the main card, it was some fun scraps on the main card, but nothing quite to this level until the main event. I wouldn't say so. This was a lot of fun. CJ Vergara, like, goofy ass knockouts. I mean, Temirov in the first round, apparently Temirov is like a 9-fight first round finish streak. Amazing stuff. Honestly, since it's the flyweight division, give him someone ranked immediately. Someone that you don't mind sacrificing. Mateus Nicolau. Matt Schnell. I think just give him a jump up, man. Give. The thing with the flyweight division is we have like 2 or 3 guys at a time that people know about. You know, like a couple of years ago, it was, okay, so it's Figueiredo, it's Moreno, it's Kakara France. Those are the big 3. Now, Figueiredo's gone. We've got Pantoja, Moreno, Royval. Those are the 3. And Kakara France, he's still in the mix. Urseg could have been, but I don't really think after that Kakara knockout, I don't think he's really in that level. But we know Manel Cape, we knew Mukayev. People know these fighters more now than they've ever have in the flyweight division's history. Just keep it rolling. Just keep the constant names flowing. And once you get to the point where a fan can literally name the top 10 of a flyweight division without knowing, like without looking it up themselves, that's when you know you've got like a division that the fans are excited for. Like any fight you make in the top 10 should be able to main event a UFC Fight Night Apex card. Like Taira versus Royval did. Because that fight, I still can't get over how good that fight was. Anyway, drops CJ Vergara. CJ Vergara tries to get back up. Gets dropped again. Gets finished off on the ground. Temirov destroys him. First round finish. Could be a star. I like him. He has a V at the end of his name. People will pay attention just for that. You know what I mean? And he was the pick. Part of my 2-leg multi. Paid off. Amazing. Jonathan Pierce versus Pat Sabatini. Insane. This was actually quite hype as well. Jonathan Pierce starts... again, a round 1 finish. Pat Sabatini immediately in the first round takes Jonathan Pierce's back. I thought Jonathan Pierce would be able to defend the takedowns, be able to defend against some of the submission attempts, keep him at a distance, piece him up, and break him over 3 rounds and win the fight. Turns out, Pat Sabatini said no. Takes his back immediately, chokes him out, takes his back, he's carrying around the weight of Pat Sabatini, and then chokes him out. Insane! In the first round. Pat Sabatini looked like a monster. But we know he's not, you know what I mean? Like, we know he's not a monster, but against guys like Jonathan Pierce, he can be. I thought Jonathan Pierce was going to win, but turns out he didn't. Pat Sabatini lost to Diego Lopez in the first round by KO. Not saying that it's like Pat Sabatini's striking is all that or anything. But how good is Diego Lopez? The fact that Pat Sabatini could do that to Jonathan Pierce, like a lower level guy, obviously. I think it just proves that Diego Lopez could probably just destroy everyone in the first round outside of the top 10 in the featherweight division. Like he has. And then even with Ortega, it was like maybe he could have finished him over 5 rounds because he hurt Ortega bad, dropped him multiple times, won every single round. I know I'm talking about Diego Lopez now instead of this fight, but there's not much to break down here. Pat Sabatini just took his back and just submitted him. That was the fight. In the first round, not much happened. Jonathan Pierce, garbage grappling defense, honestly. I thought he would do way better and just piece him up on the feet. Didn't happen, but Diego Lopez is really good. I'm glad the people that Diego Lopez beat are beating other good fighters. Because you know what that shows me? That showed me Diego Lopez didn't have an easy path to like where he got. He beat like some of the better guys in the unranked scene. And you got to keep in mind, like Diego Lopez came into the UFC and in a short period of time, he was ranked what, like 12, 13, 12 maybe? And he fought Brian Ortega. So you could be thinking, oh, he got this huge jump up in competition. It wasn't deserved. I think it was deserved. I think this just proves it further. Amazing stuff. I had Jonathan Pierce to win. He lost. You can't get him all right. For the most part, though, as you can see, I've gotten most of the card right. I think the entire main card almost I got right, didn't I? I think I might have got the entire main. I think I swept the main card. Chidi, Royval. What was the co-main event? Oh yeah, I had Yong Park. I also had in the opener of the card Rodriguez and Van Dawson. There you go. Everyone I got right. Themba Gorimbo versus Niko Price. Themba Gorimbo controlled him for the whole fight. Another fight where I was distracted trying to figure out how to fix my stream because I was trying to switch over to the boxing, right? Trying to switch over to the boxing. Couldn't find it. The stream fucked up everything. I had to take my own stream down. Delete the stream. Some stuff was said. And Themba Gorimbo controlled him for 3 rounds. Took him down every round. Controlled him. From what I'm seeing, I saw the 3rd round and just the same thing. Took him down. Threw some pitter-patter shots there. Nothing like finishing worthy. Just controlled Niko Price and finish. And then went to a decision with him. Decent fight. I'm sure. Probably not. There was a lot of grappling involved. Themba looks like a beast, but doesn't fight like one, is my analysis for this fight. Let's keep going. I had him to win, Themba Gorimbo. Chris Barnett versus Junior Tafa did not take place. Instead, we got Junior Tafa versus Fat Fuck from the regionals. An embarrassment to the sport. I said it would be an embarrassment to the sport, and it was. A huge embarrassment to the sport. Immediately from the start of the fight, Junior Tafa is acting better than he is. I just today found out that apparently he's a multiple-time kickboxing champion. Where in the world is someone... What nationality has such terrible kickboxers that Junior Tafa can be your kickboxing world champion? The guy has 1 round of cardio in him. You're telling me he was just finishing everyone in the first? Halfway through the first round, he was heaving for his life. And so was the other dude. Whatever his name was. I'm not remembering that shit. You know what I mean? Like, and he had and his opponent had the biggest pair of tits you've ever seen on him, making his way to the ring, literally bouncing off of his chest, dropping off. Just gross to see that this is the heavyweight division in the UFC. The only reason they have employed Junior Tafa is because his brother's employed, who's also shit, and they just want to have these both 2 shit brothers swap in and out for opponents. That's the only thing they want. And honestly, the first round, the other guy, the fatty from the regionals, beat up Junior Tafa. I thought he won the first round. Got with some good jabs. Junior Tafa was tired as a MFer. Leg kicks here and there. It was fun to watch though. I will say this. It was a stupid fun fight, but it was still embarrassing to the sport. If you were to show someone high level mixed martial arts and you put on like a UFC event and then Junior Tafa's on the card, you know, it's just embarrassing. It's just embarrassing. Anyway, second round comes around. Incredibly embarrassing. They're both in striking distance of each other, both of them with their hands down. Heaving for their lives. Panting. Heaving for their lives. Could barely catch a breath. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. At one point, they were just looking at each other, just heaving at each other. And then the referee comes in and he just goes, come on, we want some activity. Like, on the feet, just looking at each other. Hands down, just tired out of their mind. And you know how embarrassing this fight was? Like, Junior Tafa was fucking gassed, man. He was so gassed. He was so bad. The guy he was fighting, the Fatso, he starts taking damage from Junior Tafa. Junior Tafa's not hitting the biggest throw. I mean, he's throwing some good strikes, but they're not like the fight-ending strikes that you see. That guy was so tired. He was just stumbling backwards, sweating, breathing heavy, going backwards. The ref literally after a while just walked in and just said, no more. You've embarrassed the sport enough, and he just stopped the fight. And that was it. And then the guy, like, immediately when the stoppage happened, he's just like, and he's completely there, by the way. Like, this was not a late stoppage, but you can't say it was an early stoppage either, because that guy was just, he didn't want to fight anymore. He wanted to stop fighting and the ref obliged. Makes sense. And then he walks off and then Tafa gets an interview and he's just breathing heavily and he's like, Daddy's coming home, and no one, after embarrassing the sport, he probably got a good payout. Cut him. Cut the Tafa bros. I'll always root against them because it's such low level of skill and I just hate them both. But yeah, really, really, really low level. Like even in basketball, right? Like you see some of the best players in college. The absolute best of the best. But the amount that make in the NBA, like we have 400 players that make the NBA. 400 players, and the worst player in the NBA is like a god in the college scene. Like he's a god. Like he's like, you watch like college games and you're just thinking, whoa, this guy could be a superstar. Then you go to the NBA and they're like a role player, like the 10th man on the bench. Some of these amazing college players. With the UFC, I'm just thinking Tafa is not a top 50 heavyweight on the planet. He just isn't. I don't believe there's only 50 heavyweights on the planet that could beat him up in a fight. That's it. I don't think he is. I think he's terrible. Moving on. Sorry. Cory McKenna versus Julia Polastri. I had Julia Polastri winning. Last minute put some money on Julia Polastri. McKenna just looked like a child to me. Like she didn't look like she was fully developed. Had a huge reach disadvantage. She wore like a full body suit to the cage for a fight. Nothing wrong with that, obviously, but it just tells you something about, I don't know what it is. The ladies that wear that stuff, always a lower quality of fighters, in my opinion, more often than not. Anyway, McKenna puts up a good fight. Immediately in the first round, the first thing she does is go and push Juliana Polastri against the cage and just knee her thighs. And I thought to myself, well, that's every woman's fight ever. Like, she has known the game plan for every woman's fight ever and how to win every single woman's fight ever. But after a little while, that stops. Polastri, but even in the clinch though, Polastri was landing the better knees, the better strikes with her hands. Everything was better for Polastri. Just looked like more impactful. Like she was a fully grown woman in a fight. More damaging strikes. I thought Polastri won the first. Then the second round comes around and similar stuff like against the cage, fighting, but this time Polastri was reversing Kenya, got her against the cage, was attacking her. McKenna could not take her down for the most part. And on the feet she was getting outstruck. There was more power coming from Julia. McKenna was throwing, and after a while she started throwing some good 1-2s, some good combinations here and there. A lot of big blitzes here and there. Good performance from her overall, but I thought Julia did enough to win the second round. The third round went to McKenna. She got her to the ground finally, and it felt like Julia just like said, okay, I've had enough of this. Just take me down. She just looked bored and she got taken down. Beaten up for the third, not even beaten up. She got controlled in the third round, and I thought McKenna won the third round. Overall, 2 rounds to 1 Julia. That's how the judges saw it. Last minute bet. Paid off. Amazing. Next up, we got Dan Argueta versus Cody Haddon. I thought Dan Argueta's grappling was a lot better than than it was, because Cody Haddon just stuffed every single almost takedown from Dan Argueta. And then Dan, whenever he took down Cody Haddon immediately got back up on his feet. Like, got back up on his feet, did his thing. Boom, boom, bim, boom, bang. You know? Bing, boom, bang. 1, 2, 3. Beat him up on the feet. Badly busted him open. Dan was throwing strikes, but they looked so amateurish. They were like glazing here and there. Grazing off this, grazing off that. Nothing was that clean. They didn't have any power behind them either. Like, the striking, the form was really... It was not crisp in any way whatsoever, for the most part. And Dan Argueta was landing some pathetic shots. Eventually, Cody Haddon hurt Argueta enough times to the point where his takedowns got weaker and weaker, real telegraphed. He knew he was worse on the feet. Lost basically every single round. I had Haddon winning 3-0. I think the judges might have as well. Yeah, Haddon looked good. Argueta looked like shit. And I just couldn't... I mean, I thought his grappling was a lot better than it is. I thought Haddon was a can crusher. Turns out he's not. Turns out he's a good fighter. Came to the UFC. He's Australian, so I'm happy. Didn't lose money, so not really happy. But like, now that the event's over and like time's gone on, and I've looked at my bank balance and I've seen that I've come out with $200+ in profit, which includes the $50 I lost. So despite that, I still came up with that in profit. Yeah, good stuff from Cody Haddon. I had Argueta to win. I thought it was a good underdog pick. Didn't pay out, but not all of them will pay out. You know what I mean? Like, enough paid out tonight. I'm happy. Next up, Clayton Carpenter versus Lucas Rocha. Good fight. Clayton Carpenter hurt Lucas Rocha in the first round, I believe. Beat him up bad. Beat him up down. Beat him up hard. Beat him up basically. And then the second round, I believe it was the second round, beats him up some more, puts him in a rear naked choke. Somehow Lucas Rocha has the best blood flowing system of any person that's ever lived, as it turns out. Because he just did not pass out from that guillotine, from that rear naked choke for a solid 20 seconds, it felt like. Like, I was like, how is he still awake? And then after a while, even Rocha was like, wait, hold on a minute. Why aren't I passing out right now? This is a bit uncomfortable. So let me just close my eyes for a second. Closes his eyes. The referee stops the fight. Rocha's right back on his feet. And I'm thinking, okay, so Rocha, you weren't out. Because the moment he let go of the choke, like, he was like literally the half a second after Carpenter let go of his rear naked choke, Lucas had his eyes open and he was like, looking around the place, like moving his head. And it wasn't like a spastic, like, kind of way where, like, you know, the guys that can cast or like definitely out of it and now he's just come back to. He was there. He just closed his eyes. He's like, okay, I see this in the movies. This is how people pass out. When they pass out, they close their eyes. Closes his eyes. I'm not sure if Lucas has ever passed out in his entire life because I don't think he knows how that works because he was just gritting through that rear naked choke. Maybe Carpenter doesn't have the squeeze for it. I have no clue, but Rocha might have the best neck strength or the best like blood system, like blood. You know what I mean? The blood renal system, whatever, that we've ever seen. And I had Carpenter to win, and that was the end of the card. Nothing else after this. So that was the card. All in all, an uneventful fight night. No one will remember it. The main event, on the other hand, one of the contenders of fight of the year. And I really do say that, like, without only 2 fights I have in that contention. I only have 2 fight of the year contenders because I don't think any fight can be a fight of the year contender. I have Royval versus Taira. The drama was insane watching it live. And I've got Islam versus Poirier. The 2 best fights of the year in my opinion. The card was saved by the main event. Great card in terms of fun finishes, especially in the early prelims. I think the early prelims were more fun than the main card itself. Good card overall. Fun card. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm on 24 subscribers now. Thank you so much. My most recent video got 1.2k views, which is insane for me. I couldn't believe it. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's get me to 25 subscribers by tomorrow. Through this video. Someone. I'll see you later.